Welcome to Season 7 of the Queer Consciousness Podcast. I'm Kit Sargent, and my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Jess Grace Garcia, and my pronouns are they, them. We're just humans wanting to share the lived experience of other humans.
This season, we're talking about all things sex. We want to have deep, heart-led conversations as we unpack what sex means to us and why it's so important to talk about it.
This is a season of unlearning, relearning, and sharing about a topic that is still considered taboo.
Because at the end of the day, we are all spiritual, sexual beings having a human experience, walking each other home.
Hi, Jess.
Hey, Kit.
Okay, so here's the thing, listener. This is actually our 100th episode. It is going to be kind of a shorty, just because this is going to be me and Jess doing kind of a mini-sode. So it's going to be a real short conversation. But it is our 100th episode.
That is wild.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. It's so crazy to me that we have had 100 conversations up until this point. Like,
yeah, I mean, you have. I don't know how many episodes I've been in or been a part of. We should have looked that up.
Yeah,
we should have looked up at least the amount that I've edited, the amount that I've been involved in. But 100 episodes that you have envisioned and brought to life and been the driving force behind. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment, dude.
Yeah. It's like, and the funny thing is like, there's a part of me that when I started posting, I was like, I really should number these, like, and have them numbered so that I can keep track of how many episodes I've done. But of course, that is just one too many steps. That is just an extra step. That is, I was having a hard enough time naming the episodes, let alone trying to remember what number I was on and what season I was in. Like, there was too much. But the cool thing about Apple Podcasts is it automatically numbers everything.
Yep.
And so I was at some point, like, because there were multiple conversations where I'd be like, in the 75 conversations that I've had up until this point. And most of the time I wasn't that far off because it was a ballpark, roughly 75. But then because of the fact that we have been doing this for a while, but I have been doing this the entire time. I was like, how many episodes have we actually had? Like, legitimately, how many episodes have we had? So I went to Apple Podcasts and I started scrolling through and I was like, holy crap, we're in the 90s now. Oh my gosh. That's insane to me. I've had 90 conversations with people. I've talked to 90 people? That's nuts. That's nuts. So then when I saw that we were coming up on the 100th episode, I looked at Jess and I was like, hey, we have to do something. We have to do something to acknowledge this. We cannot just let it skirt by. This is not something that we can do. So
for those that have joined us at say the latter half of your, creation as it's really kind of found its footing, something that I've always loved being a part of creatively is letting things grow, letting things breathe, letting things become what they are. When you first started envisioning queer consciousness, first of all, what year was it? When did you start? When did you actually post? Just curious about these things. And what did you hope it would be?
It was me and a friend, and we had originally started posting back in 2023. And they ended up having to step away just because their life got too complicated, and trying to take on yet another thing, especially something as part-time jobby as a podcast, was just something that they just couldn't do anymore. And I was like, that's cool. I'm going to keep going with this. I will fully then take the baton and I will run with it myself. And so I had originally started doing solo episodes where they were just me. I would just write up a script and then read it and just talk about things that I had been learning through my own self-development journey and just different things that I've had. It was very similar to the stuff that I post on my Substack. And it worked for a while. I did that for probably 12, 13 episodes. And it was fine. I liked it. But I missed having a conversation. I missed being able to talk with someone else about the things that I have been learning and gaining a different perspective, because I can explain something and then I can be like, yep, that's great. Here's my opinion about the things that I have been observing. But when you're able to talk to and with someone else and you're kind of able to bounce ideas off of them, they can give you a different perspective because they see it from a different angle. And they can see it from an angle that you can't because we can't see everything all at once. And so I missed having those conversations. And so what I originally started was I had posted on my TikTok, and it was Pride of 2024. And I was like, hey, I have a podcast. I would love to host you on my podcast, having a conversation about what pride means to you. And before I even posted it to my TikTok, I had reached out to a couple of my friends that I knew would be game for it. And so I was like, hey, I know you've been listening to the podcast. Would you like to come on and talk about what pride means to you? And of course, all of my friends said yes. And I was like, sweet, I have like 6 conversations. That'll be great. That'll be absolutely perfect. And then I posted it on my TikTok, not thinking anything of it, because I had like 17 followers and like 4 videos at that point. Like I was an absolute nobody. And I don't want to say I didn't even go semi-viral, but it did get a couple thousand views. And so I was like, it was an open call. It was an open call to action saying, hey, if you want to come on, send me a message to this place, like to the podcast email, because I had a podcast email at the time. And I was like, if you want to jump on, let me know and we'll get a time scheduled and we can come on and have a conversation. I ended up having 8 more people from that TikTok reach out and say, hey, I want to come on your podcast and talk to you. And I went, holy crap. Okay. And so because I wanted to post all of these episodes in June, I went from having 6 episodes that I thought were going to take me into July to posting 2 episodes a week for the entire month of June. It was so much work, and I loved every single second of it. And I was like, oh, so we're going from 0 to 100. It's not even like there's no stopping it now. And then after that, I kind of like took half a step back because I was like, that's an insane amount of work. I just basically bit off incredibly more than I can chew. And I'm going to have to sit here and gnaw on this for a while because this is going to take a minute. And so I was able to kind of stretch it out into July and a little bit of August. So it just kept Pride going throughout the entirety of the summer, which how can we be mad about that?
We can't.
Exactly. And so then after that, I was like, oh, so this is kind of how the podcast wants to go. Except instead of me asking people what pride means to them, I was like, I want to have a different type of conversation where it's still about pride. It's still about like being proud of who we are and our authenticity, being proud of being part of the queer community, being proud of being queer. But how do I want to shift it just a little bit? And so that's where I came up with the question, what does being queer mean to you? Because I didn't
personalizes it.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. Because I wanted to give people who might not necessarily have a voice where they can like sometimes the conversations that I had with some of the guests, it was the first time that the guests had really been able to share their story in a public setting. Even though it was just me and them on a Zoom call, that was then going to get shared with the rest of the world. Right. And that's a big step where it's like, it's not just you and I having a conversation anymore. Like this is being recorded, this is being posted, this is going to be able to be heard by hundreds of thousands of people eventually. And sometimes it takes a little bit to get used to being on mic and having yourself recorded and sharing your story for the first time. And so I wanted to give people a space where they could do that in the safety of only having a very limited audience, where it was literally just me, where I can hold the space that they need to process the things that they needed to process. And so I just kind of kept going with that. And I was like, I want this to be a thing because a lot of times there are so many people who never get a chance to share their stories. And so I want to be able to bring those people to the forefront to say, hey, here's your time to shine. You have the mic. You literally have the mic. And you can say whatever you want, however you want to say it. And because of the fact, like and this is the preamble that we give literally all of our guests, is if at any point there's something that you don't want to share and you are like, hey, don't really feel fully comfortable with that, you can send us a message and say, hey, remember in our conversation when we were talking about this? And we'd be like, yeah. And they're like, I don't want to share that anymore. It's like, all right, cool. We can cut that from the episode. Nobody will ever know. And that was like, and as soon as I said that, a lot of times people were like, oh, so this can just stay between us. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. You can be as vulnerable as you want to. You can be as vague as you want to. This is your story. It's however you want to tell it. And like another thing that I like to say, and Jess has heard me say it 100 times up until this point, is there's no wrong way to answer this question. The only wrong way is to not. And so I can't tell you your story. I can't tell you who you are. The only thing that I can do is ask. And if you want to share that with me and with our audience, that's great. And if you don't, that's okay too.
Yeah. And I think one of the like beautiful things about like starting a podcast and being consistent is that like you start getting guests who, and I do love the beginning stages of a podcast where you're getting guests of all kinds, like folks that have never been on a mic, who have never been on a podcast, who have never told their story, and that there's a certain vulnerability about that that's beautiful. But there's also something about being with folks who've done this before. Maybe this is what they do as well. Like they're also doing their own podcasts and like getting to kind of dig in a way that maybe they aren't doing on their own. And like having those kinds of conversations with folks that enjoy being in that sort of space and enjoy being vulnerable and enjoy like maybe being on the other side of the mic or the other side of the screen. And I know, for me, when I was I think first on the pod, there was like a moment of like, oh, I get to finally get this off my chest. Like there were a few things that I was like, I appreciate being able to kind of have a place to say this, like it had been at least a year, if not more, since I had done my own podcast. And so like I had been missing it, and it was nice to be able to get involved. When I offered to be involved in some way to help produce, to help edit, for you, like what was that like, and did you feel a difference in like in the energy shift of the show, or the even for me just editing? I'm just curious what your experience was. I don't think we've talked about that. I mean, we are both very open and sharing, but I don't know that we've talked about that on mic.
Not really. Like my first initial thought, and I'm pretty sure I texted you this, was, "Are you kidding?" Because you texted me and you're like, "Hey, I've been wanting to get back into podcasting for a while in some capacity. Maybe not necessarily on mic, but definitely want to be getting back into podcasting. And I know that you're doing this all by yourself. Would you be interested in me coming on and helping?" And I was like, "Are you kidding? Absolutely yes." Like immediately yes. Like 100% yes. And for me, I missed having another person. Like I missed being a part of a team. Like as someone who has been an athlete my entire life, I've only ever played team sports.
Same.
I didn't like individual sports because because the mindset around individual sports is you're supposed to be better than you. Like you are supposed to be competing against yourself to make yourself better. Yes, you are competing against other people and you're going to be winning against them. But realistically, you're supposed to be competing against yourself. You are supposed to be better than you were yesterday. And I'm like, but I like having it. I like it when everybody wins. I like the camaraderie and the teamwork and the relationship building and the cohesiveness of working together with other people for a common goal.
Yes.
And so as someone who has been a team athlete my entire life, I missed being a part of a team. And so when you were like, "Hey, I want to come on," I was like, absolutely, immediately, yes. And for me, the immediate mind shift was, this is my podcast. I am the face of the podcast. But this is our endeavor. I am now a part of a team. And so when it came to like things that I was responsible for, I was like, all right, Jess is going to be responsible for the editing, the producing, and the posting. Done. Everything else is going to be for me. Like that's all my responsibility. So any of the social media stuff, any of the reaching out to guests, any of the answering emails, any of the like
writing of
yep, anything
notes.
Writing notes, doing all of that stuff. Like Jess is only going to basically be responsible for the editing, posting, and producing. That's it. And so that was kind of, for me, it was kind of like a 60-40. where I was like, I was doing 60% of it, but you were doing 40% of it. And the 40% that you were doing was very important, because if it doesn't get edited and posted, this podcast doesn't exist. Like I can record it, I can do all of the notes, I can do all of the things, but if it doesn't go out to the world, it doesn't exist.
Yep.
And so I guess it was more of like a 55-45 split.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then as you started to do a little bit more, and as I started to bring you on for more episodes, where I was like, hey, you want to come on and have a conversation about, like, it's the end of season 5. You've been on this for a while. You've gotten to hear a bunch of guests. Like, what are your takeaways? Because you're behind the scenes. And I knew for a fact that you wanted to get back on mic a little bit more. And I knew that you wanted to have more of these types of conversations. And so I was trying to acknowledge that. And I was trying to bring you on and say, like, hey, I know we're going to have a great conversation. I know you know a lot more about the podcast than damn near anybody. And so let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of the stuff that you have observed being the editor of this podcast. You hear it very raw, and you are able to hear a lot of the stuff that doesn't get aired, like the preamble and the postamble and all this other stuff. And so that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I knew for a fact that you have eyes that some people don't. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so it started to shift the percentage a little bit in terms of, like, now we're going more 50-50. Now it's legitimately in the middle. And so then once I started to realize, oh, Jess wants to get back on mic even more, that's when I brought season 7 to you and was like, hey, this is something that I've been thinking about for a while. Like, and it was a legitimate conversation that I'd been having with myself for a couple of months before I even brought it to you. Mm-hmm. And so then when we started talking about season 7 and how we were going to do this as a legitimate joint effort, where we were going to be co-hosts. This was going to be our podcast now. For me, it was a challenge, because now I'm having to start to shift my verbiage, where up until this point, it has been my podcast, because I have been the one that has been doing the majority of the front-facing things.
All the front-facing things, yeah.
All of the front-facing things have been me. And so that was a challenge to me, it wasn't a bad challenge, but still, when you're used to saying something a certain way for the longest time, it takes a little bit of time to shift from an I to a we.
Totally.
And from a me to an our. And it was a fun shift for me, because I was able to start relinquishing control. What really helped, though, was the fact that my job got insanely busy.
Yeah.
And I was working basically nonstop. And the routine that I had around the podcast basically had to get put on pause. So instead of me being able to do all of the stuff that I had been doing, I legitimately had to pass it over to you, Jess, and was like, hey, I can't pull my weight right now. I'm doing a whole hell of a lot at work, and my brain just doesn't have enough space in it to be able to do this as well. Can you, for a little bit, do all of the stuff that I would normally do, just until life settles down a little bit more?
Well, at least the reaching out. And I think, like, what's interesting is that I was already in that mindset. Like, I was growing to the point of, like, being like, because producers do that. Producers do reach outs and stuff like that. Like, they're the ones that will find guests. But you had such a rhythm of doing that already. And I was like, if I'm going to be a part of these conversations, I've got some great people who I want to reach out to. And then I just realized, like, oh, I'm actually able to supply a good majority of these guests, so that it takes some off your back. But yeah, that was a cool, I think that was a very natural and organic shift that we had. And we had found a good rhythm. But I think the biggest commitment for me in saying yes was, we record with people for like a 2-hour portion of time, and that's a big portion in your day to commit to, like, to recording once a week, or and that's what we kind of did. We ended up doing like once or twice a week for the season so far, and I was like, can I do that? And it's been really nice. It's been it is draining. I've started to realize like I need a good portion of time after our recordings to kind of zone out, get an easy food option and
Yep.
sit and watch some bullshit TV like Secret Lives, Former
Yeah.
Wives, or something really or something bullshit and that I just can zone out with. And it's been and it's like it's a self-care. The question that you ask, one of the questions you ask in our rapid fire Patreon special is aftercare. Like, what's
Mm-hmm.
a suggestion of aftercare? And that's my aftercare. My aftercare is that I go and I eat, like, I don't know, one of my go-tos is like hot dog sandwich or like a or like Chipotle bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go out, get something, sit down. Most likely it's around 2 or 3 o'clock, so I'm pretty hungry, and I'm ready to like just zone the fuck out for like an hour, and it's great. But yeah, I've definitely appreciated doing it. I've appreciated feeling like I'm absolutely an essential part of this duo, and I really love. What I love about podcasting is, like, not only, like we've both said, that we love meeting strangers and we love having, like, intimate, in-depth, vulnerable conversations with strangers. It's something that we have in common, and I think that it's a really cool aspect. It's watching each other grow.
Yeah.
It's watching each other have these moments of like realization and like processing, like, oh, maybe I do need to do that, or maybe I should try this, and maybe it will help me here. And um I think that that's something I appreciate from podcasts I listen to, and I bet our listeners appreciate it as well. um but yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride, and I'm excited now that we've kind of come into like a rhythm of who knows what. We've been discussing what's our theme for next season. When will next season be? Because we don't necessarily have like a solid rhythm of what if our seasons are per year or per half. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say semester.
Yeah.
I haven't been to college in so long, but
I
it's like
know.
the thing that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Uh-huh.
Um, half year segments, or if it's something where it's like, yeah, we're doing it quarterly. And the thing about it that I like about both of us is that we're flexible. It doesn't matter. Like, we're on season 7 and you've done 3 years of podcasting now.
Right. And I mean, and like, to your point, if somebody's going to be like, wait, how are you on season 7, but you've only done 3 years of podcasting? And for me, it was a breakdown of, there were certain seasons of, so like technically season 1 was just me by myself, where I had those like 13 episodes where I was just basically talking and doing a monologue for 15-20 minutes. So that was season 1, and that was for me, it was just enough to differentiate between like me being by myself and then me then legitimately starting the podcast. And so season 2 was the Pride series, and that was just kind of what legitimately launched Queer Consciousness into the podcast that it is today. Like, that was it kind of started in season 2. And then for me, it was just when I had a break that was longer than like a month of consistently posting, then I would start another season, just so that I could see when I was like in the podcast feed. Then for people who, here's a little bit behind the curtain for people who don't know anything about like the actual back end of podcasting, depending on your platform that you use to post, you can organize your podcast so that they're easy for you to find as the curator. And as the creator, you can go in and do certain things behind the scenes. And there's a way to organize things where it actually makes sense. And so for me, that was the easiest way for me to make sense, because otherwise the episodes weren't in order in terms of like when they were posted. And so if I had a season and an episode that it was numbered by, then they were in order. And so I could go scroll through very quickly and find what I needed to find based on what I was looking for. And so that's just kind of how I broke it up, so that it was just easy for me logistically to find out who I was talking to when. And I just kind of kept with that rather than having numbered episodes, which is why we are sitting here having a conversation on our 100th episode that everyone's going to be like, you've been doing this for 100 episodes? Yes, actually. Yeah, I should have just numbered it, but here we go.
Well, and I think that happens on podcasts for sure. But like the ADHD of it all is
Also that.
is great. But I prefer, like, I love, like, one of my favorite podcasts, like they started recording on a couch in their in an apartment that had no air conditioning, like kind of vibes. And like you can hear the difference if you listen to and they've been going 10 years now. And you can hear now they have like their own freaking network and they have an incredible studio and incredible teams, and it isn't just one guy doing everything. And then like I love seeing that growth, and like I think that that's happened here. I mean, there's no way that like if I wasn't able to edit something that you would try. Like
I have. I mean, I have.
you
Like
tried once.
Tried once.
Was it? We were new into us collaborating. We were only a few months into us collaborating. Because I got the fires happened here in LA.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
And it was freezing. Like it was impossible to do anything. And so you took over, and it was just fine. But right now we're putting up videos. We're doing, I mean, like there's a lot that I do now that's been added to my plate. We post social videos. We post like you probably have seen like show up on your Instagram feed or your Facebook feed videos that post now, we're also posting YouTube and Patreon. Like there's just like a lot.
There's a lot that Jess does that I have no knowledge of that I could probably fumble my way through learning.
Yeah.
It would not be great, but it would just have to be okay.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's and who knows where we'll be, in a year from now. Maybe you'll live here. Maybe we'll be able to actually be in the same space together. I don't know, manifesting right now.
Hey, it's not a bad manifestation. I'm all for moving out of Wisconsin.
Maybe we have nicer cameras, like capturing us. Who knows? Like, but at the same time, like I'm just really proud of us. I'm proud of where we are now. I feel like I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm going to ask you live here on. I know we're not really live because I can cut this, but I'm not going to. So here comes the question.
Okay.
So are you envisioning the next seasons as me as just producer again, or do you see me as being like your co-host from here forward?
I think from like this season, I definitely wanted you to be on just because of the conversations that we've been having, and I knew this was right in your wheelhouse. And so I was like, I'm going to use my network, I'm going to use my people, and I'm going to say, hey, I don't know things, you know things. Can you come learn things with me? Because it'll make me feel far less awkward if I have someone who actually knows what they're talking about, rather than me just sitting here going, okay, guest, talk, because I don't know. You're going to be teaching me at the same time. And so that's where I was like, Jess is going to absolutely be able to come on and do this and be fantastic at it. And like, give me a safe space to be like, hey, I'm going to hold your hand. It's okay. You can talk when you want to. But if you don't want to talk, you don't have to. And I'm like, all right, cool. I can do that. Fantastic. And so obviously, as you guys have noticed, the more comfortable I've been getting, the more open that I've been open with just myself, the more I've been able to share, the more talkative I've been getting. And so for me, that's been a growth process this season. As for moving forward, I think it'll be able to kind of be a both and, where there might be a guest where it's like, you're like, it's not going to work with my schedule and it'll just be me. Or it might be like, you know what? I just want to sit back on this one. This is all you. You have this conversation with a guest. You get to do literally everything. This is going to be your episode, because this was it was one of those things where it's like, we do have, and Jess and I were literally just talking about this before we started recording. We have a list of people that we want on our podcast.
Yeah.
Some of them are incredibly big asks. Like they are big name
We're gonna
people.
manifest this shit though.
Right. They are big name people. They have a massive platform. They have giant reach. And so for our little podcast to reach out to them to say, hey, would you come on and have a conversation with us? That is a big ask.
I could care less about their reach. I just want to talk to them.
No, exactly. And that's the thing. But it's still a big ask in terms of a tiny little podcast like ours reaching out to somebody who has millions of followers. And it
is, but we're still great.
Yeah, no, we're fantastic. I'm not saying that at all. And so for me,
I'm just being, I'm being confident forward so that
absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think the thing though is that like, I'm curious to our audience, like, I would love their input. Like, hey, like, what themes do you want to hear? We have a couple ideas.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, do you want to always hear us together? Like, do you like the chemistry that we have? Because we do have great chemistry.
We do.
Who are some people that you would love to hear us interview and talk to? I would love to hear from our folks because we got plenty of time.
Oh yeah.
But this is a great little interjection to kind of, for some of y'all probably noticed this at this point, but I'm proud of us for this. I mean, production wise, we are months ahead in terms of like recording folks. And when you start getting into like a good professional rhythm, that kind of happens,
Yep.
It works out better. It keeps things relaxed. Like there isn't stress at the last minute of who's going to be the next guest. And so sometimes we're talking about things that are happening in the world from 2 months ago, which with the way the world works, that feels like forever ago sometimes.
And to your point about that, sometimes it's nice to remember what happened. Because
that's a good point.
Because of how fast things move and how quickly things are getting thrown at us on a daily basis. Sometimes it's nice to be like, oh, right, I remember that. Like, that was a whole thing for a whole week where it was everyone's absolute focus and nobody could talk about anything but this thing until the next thing happened, and then we all forgot about that one thing. And so it's nice to come back to that one thing to be like, oh, yeah, wow, we are entirely different people.
About this is that like we are recording this like right before we're gonna be posting it because it's the 100th episode is coming up. But like when you talk about main events, I'm thinking about like the White House Correspondents' Dinner that happened last night.
I know.
And I'm just like,
I was like, as I was talking, that was what was going through my head. As I was like, it's gonna be so weird to like be talking about this 2 days later, but that's okay. And then our next guest that we're posting, we recorded back in March.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Yeah.
We were gonna be recording them in February.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just a I don't know. We all live in it, man. We know how wild it is, but we're just I'm so thankful for the people that have reached out, that have given us ideas. One of our listeners, you know who you are. They sent me a suggestion last week about putting together a kind of like a document or something that kind of like breaks down easily the themes and the guests that we've had, something that's easily searchable. And so we, because of that suggestion, Kit and I have been, brainstorming about what the best way to do that is. And we just love it. Like, we love hearing from you all ideas that you might have that can be helpful. Because I hadn't thought about that. And I just thought, oh, that is a great idea. A lot of us are neurospicy, and it's nice to have like, a different way of organizing some of our thoughts. And I know I use Google Docs for like a lot of our back end management stuff. And so it might end up being a Google Doc, but yeah, if anyone has any other ideas or thoughts about like something you might want to see on Patreon on the back end, something that you'd be willing to like support us for. I also, someone had suggested that we do the, I'm already forgetting what it's called, but it's like, I think it's called like tip jar or coffee.
Buy me coffee.
Yeah, like something like that, because sometimes people can't commit to like a reoccurring payment, but they can like give us like a one-time thing, and maybe they want to pay for the tea that I'm having, that morning or something like that. I think you guys all noticed that I like tend to almost always have tea while we're doing podcasting. Yeah, I just think like these little ways of like staying connected to our audience is really special.
Absolutely.
The other thing that we might want to do, Kit, is you haven't done it yet. You said that you wanted to share some of our contributors.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to do that on this episode, but that could be really cool.
We can. One of the things, and I actually, that was actually one of the things that I had forgotten to do because my brain was in 1,000 other places. And I kept literally having it down on my to-do list. And then I would say, yes, I have to do that. And then that was as far as that would go because welcome to the ADHD brain. There's so many times where I was like, I forgot it again. I forgot it again. Oh no, I forgot it again. So now what I have started to do is I have legitimately started to write in our show notes for just Jess and I. This doesn't go to the show notes for the actual episode, but for the show notes for just Jess and I will write down who our most recent Patreon subscribers are, just so that we know, because it's fun to see like that we actually have people that are willing to legitimately put skin in the game and support us monetarily and contribute to making sure that this podcast can stay alive. So thank you for that, because that means the absolute world to us.
Super new. You guys know that like those that are listening know that like we've only just launched the Patreon in the last couple months.
Yeah, it's only like 2 months old.
The fact that we even have a couple of supporters is amazing.
We do. So for this particular 100th episode, because we officially have 2 patrons that are subscribed, that would be McKenz and Christina, and they know exactly who they are. I'm not going to say anything beyond that, because if they are listening and they know who they are, they just got their shout out. And honestly, seriously, thank you so very much for being the 2 OGs to come in and say, hey, not only do we like you guys a lot, but we also like you enough to give you our money. And so we legitimately could not do this podcast without you. And so thank you so very much for being our 2 first Patreon subscribers.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
We do so very
sending
much.
Sending you hugs if you like that.
Anything else you wanted to add, Jess?
No, I feel just grateful and thankful, and we are now about to start. I'm actually processing the fact that like we're going to try and do something that is a little challenging for my imagination that I've been kind of alluding to in our edits in our most recent episodes, I mean. And so yeah, I'm excited to do that for our Patreon ads. So I have an idea that's brewing.
Okay.
And I want to put out there that I'm really sensitive to like energy and stuff. So if you're listening and you have a little energy to give, send it this way, because I have a cool idea that's brewing that I want to see if it would be the right move and the right time. But it involves the podcast, and it might involve other podcasts.
Cool.
And so send us good vibes, good energy. And if you also have a podcast or you're interested in doing a podcast, like please hit me up, because I fucking love podcasts. But that's like, for me, I've just really been thankful to you, Kit, for letting me like say yes to getting back into the game, and letting me, collaborate so much that it really feels like my baby now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't take it away from me. It's mine. It's mine just as much as it's yours.
Yeah, and this is something that I actually didn't get to say earlier, so I'll elaborate it more on it now. Like when you originally had reached out to me and said, "Hey, I want to come on and help," I was immediately like, yes, this is no longer just my podcast. This is now our podcast. Even though it took me a little bit of time to like relinquish control because I was just so used to doing it by myself, it also just was an immediate yes for me to be like, oh, no, like Jess is now my partner. Like we are in this together, because I know that when Jess commits to something, Jess commits 100% therein. And the fact that you came to me and said, hey, I would like to help you with this, I didn't come to you saying, hey, I need help. Because I was perfectly fine with just because it was just a conversational podcast. I had no intention of ever expanding on it any more than it already was. Like, I was perfectly happy with doing audio only, posting it once a week, having a tiny reach, and then having maybe random guests pop off with a couple thousand listens or whatever. But otherwise, I was okay. Like, I was content. I was happy with where it was. And so then for you to come on and say, no, I want to help you because, one, I want to get back into this. Like, I want to get back in. I want to get back in the game.
2, it can be better. It can be better.
And then 3, you were like, you have what it takes to grow this.
Yes.
To expand it, to become more. Because you as Kit have the skills, you have the charisma, you have the integrity,
the tenacity,
the
endurance
to keep going with it.
It takes all of that. Yes.
And I just needed somebody to come and, 1, remind me of that, and then 2, gently shove me to be like, you can push yourself beyond this. We know you have it. Just keep going with it. And so for me, it was an immediate yes.
Well, I only want to collaborate with people like that. You know, someone said to me earlier, we want people that are hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. Like, we're hungry to make connections and to show people in our community that they're special and remind them of why, and help people who are listening know that they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can do that, then we're having a good day. We're having a good day. Amazing.
You do that. I love it so much. And this is why I love you.
It's an ekuleele at this point.
It really is. It's just I don't even remember how I started ending the podcast with that, but apparently it's now the end.
You still have I said amazing. You still have to say something.
I do. Until next time.
This podcast is hosted by me, Kit Sargent, co-hosted and produced by Jess Grace Garcia of Springward Productions, and the theme music is by Brian Smith of Holy Holy Music Productions. If you could do us a huge favor and please follow, comment, share, do all of the things on all of the socials. You can follow the podcast on Instagram @_queer.consciousness for all the latest episodes, as well as any other exciting news. When you're listening on Spotify, please leave a 5-star rating and use the comment box for anything you'd like us to talk about. When you're listening to Apple Podcasts, please leave a comment and a 5-star rating. If you'd like to be on the podcast, send a message to queerconsciousnesspod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/queerconsciousnesspodcast. We are trying to grow as organically as possible, and this helps other like-minded people who want to empower and encourage others on their journey. So until next time, remember to stand in your truth and know that you are worthy, just as you are. Hey friend, just wanted to take a quick second to remind you that if you or someone you know is struggling and don't know where to turn, the trained volunteers at the LGBT National Hotline are here to help. Because sometimes the strongest thing to do is to ask for help. The National Hotline phone number is 888-843-4564. And if you want to check out the other things that they have available for them to help you with, you can check out the lgbthotline.org in order to be able to see all of the services that they offer in order to help our community.